What's going on, guys? This is Travis here, and today I am bringing you my PPL Division 1 Season 3 draft analysis for the North Melbourne Kangaskhans. So the video I uploaded, I think it will be yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, depends on when I get this edited, etc. It was just a bit of a fun video, I meet the team kind of thing, which had like 500 million copyright flaws, but whatever. Whereas this is going to be a much longer video. I'm going to go really in depth about why I picked everything in the order which I picked everything, etc. So if you just want to know my team, either check out the last video I posted or go to my Twitter, both of which will be down in the description. There is a pinned tweet there with my full team. There will also be a link to the public spreadsheet for the Pokemon Premier League where you can look at everyone else's teams to see how I match up and that kind of thing. All the other links in the description. There will be every single coach, YouTube and Twitter, the Pokemon Premier League, YouTube and Twitter, as well as the public spreadsheet. And I think that will be it. I'll just leave those in there for every single PPL match and team analysis, so you can check out any of the coaches if you want. And I highly recommend you do. Got a really good list of coaches, but I'll get into that in a second. But first of all, what I'm going to go through is the changes we have this season. So if you've watched the other coaches team analysis videos, you will have known most of this already, if you're in the PPL as well, obviously. But from last season, things that have changed. We have increased the budget to 110. This is because when people went through and did the pricings, they realized that basically there was inflation happening. Everything was getting more expensive because people were learning how to use them, and people were saying, this mon is really great, like this NU mon deserves to be 8 mil. So everything was just getting more and more expensive, so they increased the budget to 110. They also changed the pricing so that the Megas and the normal mons were priced the same as each other, and basically with the limit of 20 mil, if something should be worth more than that, then it just gets banned. So the bans that we have, I haven't actually put that on here, but we ban all Smogon Ubers, except we allow Torrent Greninja and Blaziken, of which I think only Blaziken was drafted. I did strongly consider Greninja, but oh well. Spoilers, didn't draft it. We also ban Mega Latios, Mega Metagross, Hooper Unbound, Cure Black, and I think that's it from the OU tier? Yeah, and all the rest are Ubers. We did have another vote on Landorus Incarnate, both Mega Lati Twins and Cure Black, but Mega Latios was allowed, Mega Latias was not, which is interesting. A lot of people were like, why one and not the other? Because that's what people voted for. I personally voted to allow Landorus, Kyurem, and Mega Latios, and not Mega Latias, because I've done calcs to that thing, and it lives a +2 Sucker Punch from Bisharp, I believe, which is just stupid. No Psychic type should be able to take that hit. And you know, then it also tanks everything on the special side, can do a lot of damage. I basically thought it would just be too hard to try and take down and to prep for, whereas Mega Latios, although it's powerful, it's not quite as powerful as a Specs normal Latios, so you can still find a switch into it. And you know, if it goes for Draco, it gets those drops anyway, whereas Mega Latias, a physically defensive Carmine set, could sweep pretty much every team. So, moving on from that, the most expensive mons were Mega Sableye and Mega Latios, both at 19 mil, everything else was 18, 17, 16, etc. The other change from last season is we are now in Division 1, which hopefully if you paid attention all of last season you should remember. We did come third in Division 2 and then managed to win the playoff match to get into Division 1, which was the aim. So I'm glad that I'm here, and well, I was when I made it, and now I'm like, ah shit, I've got to play all these teams and they're all really good and I'm going to lose every game. But anyway, that's beside the point. We have a couple of new coaches from people who left. So from last season, Kino, Ethan and Troy have all pulled out for various reasons. All the best to them, etc. Some of them are staying on to help, so Kino's doing some GFX for people, I believe, and Ethan has become head of analysts. So still get to keep in contact with all of them. But the new coaches we have are FranCTrode and the football club Volcarona, which I'm extremely hyped about, and I'll explain why when I finish the whole list. Foofoo, aka Sam, and the MewCastle United, almost going to confuse his cheese team there, and UnlawfulExile / Liam / Pair of Exiles, and West Chan United. So, like I said, all the coaches' links will be in the description, you can go check out those three. Now, the reason I'm hyped in particular about FranCTrode and Liam, is the first ever draft league I watched was GBA D League, the first GBA D League, and both of those coaches were in it to begin with. Frank only played like 2 games, I think, before he dropped out because he had a lot of uni shit to do. And Sam actually won that entire league. So, and that was like the start of me getting into YouTube. So those 2 people were part of the group that made me decide to do this. So it's kind of a bit of a shock to now have to try and play and beat them, particularly given I watch a lot of both of their content, and they're both very, very competent battlers, and I'm basically shitting myself. Liam, I didn't really watch until this time at PPL, sorry, but now I know him, and I watch his stuff a bit, and I'm still spooked as shit because no one in this league is bad, as evidenced by the drafts. If you go look at the public spreadsheet, everyone has a really freaking solid draft, which is terrifying. Even with meme picks, even with like the entire last round being meme picks of people just picking stupid mons because they can, it's still freaking scary drafts. Anyway, so getting into what my draft plan was, I basically told everyone who asked that my draft plan was #YOLO, which isn't quite true. I do quite a bit of planning. I had a spreadsheet with things I wanted, particular cores that looked good, what I would prioritize, that kind of thing. But basically, I had the 11th overall pick. We were doing a normal snake draft thing, so that meant that I had the 11th pick, but then the second pick of the second round, so 11th and 14th, and then that every round, so it would go, you know, I could make 2 picks relatively close together, try not to get sniped by the person after me, which is RTK, and then wait a long time, hoping I get sniped for that whole length of time, and then it gets back to me. So my basic overall plan involved, I wanted to use different mons from GCL and PPL Division 2, which means I wasn't going to be drafting a lot of the same things. There were some things which I'll reconsider, and some of them will come up in this discussion, but a lot of them got sniped from me anyways, so I didn't end up getting any of the same mons. Again, spoilers. The basic general plan was every odd round, so rounds 1, 3, 5, etc., try and get the best thing left that fit my team. So obviously round 1, I basically made a list of the 11 best mons in draft format in my opinion, and whatever the highest one that was left, I was going to take it, and then get something that paired well with it second round. We'll see how that worked out a little bit. And then after a little while, I'll start looking for specific things to plug holes, because that's what I think is the best way to not get sniped, is not going with an exact plan, but basically get a really, really good couple of mons, so you know, a pair core, which works with having a close to wheel pick. It doesn't work so well in the middle. In the middle you go draft plan differently, but because I had an end pick, I figure I can get 2 mons that pair really well together each time, and then towards the end of the draft start plugging the holes, start filling in the other things that I know I need. The other advantage of this type of drafting is it means I can look at what other people have. In particular, from the 11th pick, I can look at RTK, who was 12th, and say, okay, you know, he's got half of this core. Is he likely to take this mon? No, he already has a type, that type kind of thing. And I do that quite a lot. Going back the other way, it's harder because obviously there's a lot more teams, but it still happened a bit, and I'll explain that when I get to it. So, with all of that in mind, when it got to me in the first pick, there were quite a few mons left that were still really good. Sylveon, for example, was still around. Latios, Excadrill, a lot of things. What else is still around that was really good? Milotic, Shaman, Jirachi, I can't remember. Lots of really, really good things that I ranked really highly. Mecha Sableye was still around. I did vaguely consider getting it again because it is really, really freaking good. But what I ended up going with, as this is going to be, I'm just going to do a brief explanation. The order in which I'm going to go through our picks is the order in which I decided I wanted them, not the order in which I picked them, and I'll explain that at each stage. So, first one I decided I wanted was Excadrill, but I actually got it round 2. The reasoning being, RTK had drafted Excadrill and my next pick the previous season, but for having watched his battles, I thought he was less in favour of Excadrill. I didn't think he would take it, and like most people, I thought it was going to go Sylveon Milotic, and we were half right. He went Milotic and Shaman. So I decided, first round, I was like, alright, best mon that's left when it got to me was Excadrill. I honestly, this thing was like 4th, I think, on my list when I made it, of best mons in the format, which is kind of insane, the fact that it got to me at 11th pick. I think a lot of people undervalue this mon. It only cost me 16 mil, so on my 110 mil budget, There are other things more expensive than it. There are a lot of mons that were 17 or 18, more expensive than Excadrill, and I really think this mon is underrated. It can sweep entire teams. Like, if you don't have something that really deals with Quake Edge well, or something like Cresselia, which just eats every physical hit, Excadrill can just run through your team. Base 135 attack with Sand Rush means it often runs Adamant Life Orb, which just hits so hard, it's ridiculous. With Stab, EQs, and Iron Heads, it's great. The other thing it gives me, which I really wanted early, and you'll notice is a theme from every single draft that I've done, is I've gotten Hazard Control early. Good, reliable Hazard Control in the first couple of rounds, just because it's something a lot of people leave late and end up having to get gimmick picks to try and fill. So Excadrill gives me both Rapid Spin and Stealth Rocks. A lot of people don't have they're struggling to look for a spinner in late rounds and end up going a lot of Hitmons, which, while they're good, a lot of people pick them up for Rapid Spin. Whereas Excadrill can run 3 attacks with Rapid Spin and can still 2KO an entire team, even though it is also at hazard level. It's also got a really good base HP stat, which people sleep on. 110 is insane, even though its defenses are essentially crap. With something like an Assault Vest, it's got a good enough typing that it can take advantage of that HP stat. If you invest in HP and defense, it can be sort of a physical, not really a wall, probably more of a pivot. But an uninvested base 135 attack still hits so hard, so if you want to run this thing bulky, you can. The only issue with that is it doesn't get recovery, which Steel types of recovery are really rare. I think it's down to Jirachi, Scizor, / Mega Scizor, and Skarmory. I can't think of another one. I don't think. Ferrothorn gets Leech Seed, is about the closest from memory. So most people won't get a Steel type of recovery. I'm quite happy to have one that's bulky-ish and that powerful and doesn't get recovery. The issues I have here, the really good things about Excadrill, and some of the issues as well, is base 50 special attack is basically useless. I'm never going to run a hidden power on Excadrill for something because it just never does enough damage. Like, a resisted Earthquake will do more than most hidden powers from this thing. It's just not worth it. Which means a really reliable physical wall, and people can bring something that's match XP, max physical defense, and don't really have to worry about Excadrill if it's bulky enough. It doesn't get great coverage moves, so it gets like X-Scissor for grass types and Shadow Claw for ghosts if you want to run that, but its coverage basically relies on its dual stab and rock slide, which is enough for most teams, but occasionally there's something which you just won't be able to hit. Doesn't get any element punches, for example, doesn't get any fighting coverage. So there is a little bit of an issue with that, but it's generally so powerful that it doesn't tend to matter. And as I mentioned, no recovery, which is the main drawback of it getting Excadrill. But I still really think it's a worthwhile round 1 pick, and I'm still surprised it got to me. In Division 2, it went 2nd pick overall. In the GBA this season, it went 1st pick overall. So the fact that I got it at 11th, not only that I got it at 14th, so I got it in round 2, is absolutely insane. Now, the mon I got to pair with this, which I actually got first because I thought RTK might be more likely to take it. Again, I was tossing up between 3 mons that were still around when it got to me for this, and they were Latios, Sylveon, and Zapdos. And I ended up going with Latios, mostly because it had the best synergy of all 3. All 3 of them have good synergy in that they're specially offensive mons that can hit things hard to help out, something that's a really good physical wall, can't take a special hit as well, which helps out Excadrill. They also had good typing synergy with it. If you look at those, Excadrill paired with any one of those 3 mons, they all have good typing synergy. Occasionally there's one thing that'll hit them both neutral, or one super effective, one neutral, one super effective, one neutral, and that kind of thing. But I figured Latios was probably the best synergy of all of them, and if I didn't pick it, it was definitely not going to get back to me. Zapdos, I thought there might be a chance I'd get it in round 3. Sylveon, I basically decided I wasn't going to get it, mostly because I thought RTK was going to get it. But I ended up going with Latios partly because I figured I could get a different electric type or a different fairy that would fit my team. I'd done some rough draft planning when I figured out I was going to get Excadrill, and the dragon type was the hardest one to find something else that fit, because all the other good or a lot of the other good dragons either were already redundant, had something else that did everything they could do, or they didn't fit my team that well. They had too many weaknesses. Any of the dragon flying types gave me a huge ice weakness when I tried to look at it, whereas having Latios meant that I had a ground immunity straight away, which wasn't weak to rocks, which is great. It is one of the best defoggers in OU. Latios and Latias are probably the two best defoggers. Some would say Skarmory is up there as well. It's not quite as fast, but it's bulkier, things like that. This thing also just hits so freaking hard. 130 base special attack with a stab Draco Meteor destroys things. Like, there are very, very few switch-ins, and if you look at the switch-ins, they are pretty much all fairy types and steel types, both of which get handled by Excadrill's dual stab. So it has to be basically one of those two types that is so bulky on both sides it doesn't get too aggressive. But Excadrill, which I don't think exists, or just something that has ridiculous natural bulk that can take both of those hits really well. But there isn't much in the game that can take on both Latios and Excadrill that I can think of at this minute. So it also gives me another form hazard removal. Straight away I have a defogger and a rapid spinner. I don't really have to worry about it for the rest of the draft. I can get another one if it's there. It'll still make a mon better, because both these ones I might want coverage and that kind of thing, but I do now have two options to do it, which is nice. This thing also has respectable bulk, not amazing, but good. 80, 80, 110 is good bulk. The 110 speed was really the thing that made me decide on it over Zapdos, in that little extra bit of speed means it can guaranteed outspeed all the base 100 pixies, which are a huge problem, and things like Garchomp at base 102, things like that. And it's just nice to have that little bit extra speed. I wasn't sure what else I was going to get at this point. Issues with it, basically, is the most easily pursuit trap mon in existence, because you go for Draco Meteor, you're at -2, and then something like a Bisharp or a Tyranitar can come in and pursuit trap you and there's nothing you can do about it, or Crocodile, or even like Honchkrow, for example, things like that where you go, I can't actually touch this anymore, especially given its other stab is Psychic, and it doesn't get great moves to deal with Dark types. It is very easily pursuit trapped. It's not the greatest at taking priority hits, but it can run a lot of different sets. I can run a physical if I really want to. I have swept Jack with a Dragon Dance Latios before. I might try and do that again, you never know. And it's just so insanely powerful, I couldn't not take it, really. It does get some other interesting moves. I won't reveal too much just yet, but it does get some cool things. And yeah. Next mon, I believe at this point I decided I wanted Tyranitar, partly because it means there's one less thing to pursuit trap Latios, gives me sand for Excadrill, etc. So, even though I only got it in round 7, I wanted Tyranitar at this point. The third mon on my draft plan, like I have my spreadsheet where I put in mons as I decided I wanted them, and the third mon on that was Tyranitar. I was originally looking at getting it round 4, or round 3 I think. They ended up getting it round 7 because I kept looking at people's teams and going, it doesn't really fit anyone else's team. And so I managed to get it really late, which is nice. This thing only costs 14 mil, which means with this and Excadrill as my core, Latios was 17 by the way, this and Excadrill as my core was 30 mil, which is fantastic, because that leaves me a lot of room to spend on other things, and it's an insanely good core. Obviously it gives me sand for Excadrill. It has such insane bulk, 100, 110, 100, with sand to boost its special defense is just phenomenal. As well as 134 base attack, meaning even if I bring it bulky, it's going to be hitting things hard. And 95 special attack, meaning I can run ridiculous coverage moves. Like, oh hey, you have a Landorus, which is your best answer to my Excadrill, catch this fucking Ice Beam. You have a Skarmory, catch this Thunderbolt or Fire Blast or whatever. Like, it gets a good enough special move pool, and it's still 95 base special attack, that it can deal with things that Excadrill struggles with. Obviously I also have Latios for that. And the defensive synergy between those three mons is really solid. I now have a really good physically defensive mon, a decent specially defensive mon, just good bulk all around for all three of them. And it gives me another Stealth Rocker, so I now have 2 forms of hazard removal, 2 forms of hazard setters, which is really nice. Perhaps the main thing I'm missing at the moment is a bit more speed, because this thing is quite slow. Excadrill is obviously fast in the sand, Latios is pretty fast, but I am lacking a tiny bit of speed and I'm lacking priority. But I figured there are more important things to worry about than those. I could get lower tier mons that could get those priority moves that I needed. And so the 4th pick I decided to go with really rounds out this core. It gives me my Dragon Fairy Steel core. It's basically, during rounds 2 and 3, almost every other fairy in the game got drafted that wasn't drafted in round 1. So I think round 1 it was just Mega Gardevoir, Mega Altair, and Clefable. It's still 3 of them. And then rounds 2 and 3, Aromatisse went, Florges went, trying to think what else. Can't think of many other fairies. Oh well. Basically, in terms of really bulky, reliable cleric fairies, Sylveon went as well. In terms of bulky, reliable cleric fairies, it was down to Gardevoir, Granbull, and Mega Ordino. And I was running calcs, looking at what would fit my team. Gardevoir wouldn't because I already have a Psychic type, I already had that special offense, and it wasn't really bulky enough to go the way my team was going at this point. You know, I had good special defense, but it wasn't really what I wanted for my fairy, so it was down to do I want Granbull, do I want Mega Ordino. I was looking at my things and went, basically, I don't know how to put it well. Basically, I decided I want Mega Ordino. Because its bulk is just absolutely insane, and then the couple of things I considered which I put down after this, it really helped out with those as well. So in my opinion, this thing is better than Granbull because it gets recovery, it gets Wish, which Granbull doesn't, and that's one of the big things that made me pick it over Granbull. It's also much bulkier on the physical side, which made me pick it over Gardevoir, and it's got really like almost perfect defensive synergy with Excadrill, in that it's only 2 weaknesses. Excadrill resists one and is immune to the other. So that works out really nicely. It's also got respectable special attack. Base 80 isn't bad, with a ridiculous number of coverage moves like Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Ice Beam. Can't think of much else at the moment, but it gets knockoff if I'm worried about a berry. Obviously Dazzling Gleam, Hyper Voice for stab. I can set up with Calm Mind and just refuse to die. You know, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell, Calm Mind, that kind of set. Sorry, that's for status moves, but you get what I mean, is that I can take down entire teams just by not dying. And it's kind of bulky fairy that has enough coverage so that it's not super duper passive. It's one of the weakest fairies, I believe, especially offensively, but it is also the bulkiest on the physical side, and one of the bulkiest on the special side still, so it's bulkier than Clefable, for example. About as similarly specially bulky to Sylveon, because it has better HP but less good SPDF, but much better on the physical side. Obviously gets Wish, doesn't get Baton Pass, which isn't great, but gets other good coverage moves. The main issue with it is the fact that its ability is crap and completely useless. If they'd kept it with Regenerator, I would have been so happy, because this thing would probably be UU or OU, let's be honest, if they kept it with Regenerator. At the very least RU, but Healer is just such a terrible ability. It fits my team pretty nicely. Gives me a cleric with both Heal Bell, Healing Wish, and Wish is really good combination. It has enough power to be useful. Basically, I kind of want to try this thing out. I've been running calcs with it, and there are just so many things that just can't kill it. Like, I'm looking at the strongest Wall Breakers in opposition team, like, oh, that does a 35% max, cool. So Mega Ordino is coming that week. That kind of thing, where it just tanks so many hits. Which is really going to help out with things like Excadrill, which I'm probably not going to be running HP investment on most weeks, or only a little bit. And I can just switch into Mega Ordino, tank hits, and then have my really powerful Wall Breakers that I've drafted so far to get rid of the bulky ones that Mega Ordino can't take out. Now, after all of that, I decided I want a little bit more bulk. This is one I ended up taking. So I took this round 5 and not round 3 or 4, even though it was really like, if I didn't get it round 3 or 4, I was screwed, because I looked at RTK's draft at this point, and he had Melodic and Shaman at the end of round 2. So I went, he's probably going to pick his Fire type round 3, and then if he picks a good bulky Fire type, he's probably going to get Hazard Removal round 4, because none of those 3 have Hazard Removal. So I went, I don't think he's going to get a Fairy. Togeki's already been taken. Every other team either had a Mega or a Fairy already. So I was fairly sure I wasn't going to get sniped with this thing. I left it to round 5, because at that point, again, I can pick it just before RTK, so he can't get it round 5 or 6. And at that point, I thought he might get his Fairy then, because the ones that were left were kind of lower tier picks anyway. So that's what I ended up getting at round 5. The one I ended up getting round 4, which is the next one I wanted, was Tangrowth. The reason I got round 4 is, again, RTK already had Shaman, so he wasn't going to get it 3rd or 4th round. He wasn't going to draft Tangrowth, basically. So I picked something else 3rd, which could have gone later. Possibly a mistake, but I ended up not getting sniped with most of the things I want anyway. So I picked up Tangrowth round 4 because I basically thought there are a lot of other teams which could use a bulky grass type. It gives you a ground resist, particularly now I had Excadrill. Tangrowth is one of the best answers to Excadrill, and they can hit it back hard with EQ and can take, its normal coverage moves quite well. It gets hit by Excadrill, but it's bulky enough that it can actually take those hits decently. This thing is one of the best pivots in the game, flat out, because it's got ridiculous natural physical bulk, and then you can run AV with full SpDef, and it's especially bulky mod as well, and then it gets really good coverage moves, which means you can still do good chip damage, you can still not be set up fodder for things, etc. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick. Sorry about that. This is one of the best grass types in the format, and there aren't that many good grass types, so I basically figured if I didn't get it now, I wouldn't get it. I've wanted to use this thing since my first league, which was PPL D2. I haven't got it yet. I decided to get it now over things like Roserade, because I've already used Roserade before, and it's not that bulky. Like, it's got good special bulk, but only base 60 HP means it's still let down a bit. And it can't take physical hits at all. Whereas this thing can take any hit you want. It's just so bulky. I was running calcs with it, and it takes a flamethrower. Like, it can not be 2-hit carried by a flamethrower from Mega Man Mewnich if it's the specially defensive AV set, and then can 2-hit KO with Earthquake, which is just unbelievable. That's with Intimidate, by the way. And no attack investment. That's just unbelievable. And if I really want to, I can just bring Chlorophyll and screw people over, bring a Sunny Day Sweeper when I have a Sand Team. But, that could be fun. Issues with the SpDef stat is lower than I would like. I would honestly rather have this thing at like base 10 speed and base 90 SpDef would make me so much happier. But base 50 is manageable, like it's at the point where it can just avoid a lot of 2-hit carriers with a special defense investment and AV. And its speed is so low that I can just run minus speed and run 4 coverage moves most weeks anyway. I've been watching Lars use it in the GBA and have absolutely fallen in love with it through that, even though I already liked it. So I really want to get it I really wanted to get it in this draft. So when I picked it, when I decided I wanted Tangrowth and lock that in, I was looking at getting Slowking as well. But I didn't end up getting it because it got sniped before I could get it. So what happened was, round 3 I decided to pick my Fire type because RTK looked like he was going to get a Fire Water Grass Core to start with, like I said. And as it was coming back to me, Arcanine was still available, and I was like, I can get Arcanine. Oh my god, I could get Arcanine. This would be like the most insane draft ever if I could get Arcanine. Unfortunately, Sly took it. What can you do? And I noticed Zapdos was still around. I was like, okay, maybe I'll get Zapdos, let RTK pick his Fire type, and I'll pick up something else. Or pick my Fire type, and then grab Zapdos round 4, that kind of thing. But then Zapdos got taken. So I locked in Tangrowth round 4. I was looking at what else I could get. I figured RTK wouldn't take Mega Ordino that round. I didn't think anyone was going to take Tyranitar anytime soon. And I thought I could get Slowking back in round 5 or 6. Get Mega Ordino round 5, so RTK can't get it. He's not going to get Slowking because he has Milotic. Get Slowking round 6 was what I was hoping to get. Unfortunately, it got taken round 4, I believe, by NecroStevo, but if I hadn't taken Tangrowth, it would have gone then. But the other Mon, which I'm hoping it's the next one, I've actually forgotten the order I put these in. Mon I ended up getting, good, it's the right one, was Emboar. Some people have said that I could have left this later, and that it's not a round 3 pick. Possibly, but if I'd left it later, I'm not sure when I would have got it. If I'd gotten Slowking at that point, and then gotten Tangrowth, I might have been able to get this thing round 6, but then I wouldn't be able to get something else that fit my team super well and ended up getting there. So it's a bit of an interesting trade-off, is that I potentially could have gotten this thing and Slowking, but I think my team might have actually ended up better not having gotten Slowking? Question mark? So, about Emboar. I had the choice of Emboar or Entei, or Darmanitan, or whatever at this point. I didn't want to go down because I used it before. I was basically tossing up between Emboar and Entei. Part of the reason I ended up going Emboar was I'd spent a lot of money in my first 2 picks. I was intending to spend quite a bit more with likes of Tyranitar. And basically Emboar was relatively cheap, whereas Entei was 14 mil and this team was only 9, I believe. So that saved me 5 mil, that's enough for a whole decent, RU Mon kind of thing. And running calcs, Emboar doesn't have switch-ins. Like, they just don't exist. The best ones we found so far are like a Violate physically defensive Shelgon, which takes 30-something% from a superpower. And people are saying, oh, you know, Zygarde can switch in. I'm like, well, not if I run HP Ice. That base 100 special attack is still very, very good. I had someone tell me SlyroH was a switch in, and I showed them the Grass Knot calc. And that's the main thing that makes M-Ball much harder to switch into than like a Darmanitan, is A, it gets much better coverage on the physical side with Head Smash, Wild Charge, even Reckless boosted Double Edge, obviously Reckless Flow Blitz, Superpower, Earthquake, I'm forgetting stuff, Zen Headbutt. It gets ridiculous move form on the physical side, but its special attack is also so usable that it can run Scald, it can get Grass Knot, obviously Hidden Powers for 4x weaknesses are still useful on that side. Gets Overheat if I want to run mixed set with powerful Fire Stab on the special side. Flamethrower if I'm running a fully special one. It can do so many things on both sides of the spectrum that makes it really, really difficult to switch into. And if I just bring an Adamant Scarf, for example, it 2-KOs a fucking Cresselia. Physically defensive Cresselia gets 2-KO'd by Flare Blitz, which blows my mind. And I can run enough speed investment to speed creep things. It is slow, but it's just fast enough where a Scarf lets it outspeed things. I was playing Showdown earlier today, and Scarfed Endor Oko a Thunderous T because it outsped by 1 point, and just Head Smash, boom, 100% of its health just gone. It was fantastic. The main issue with it is because I will be using recoil moves most of the time, this thing is going to die quite a lot. So its role on my team is to just be a wall breaker, is to just come in and just do so much damage to things. It won't be able to kill, like it's not going to sweep a team, but it can just come in and do so much damage, can weaken someone's team to the point where Excadrill can sweep, where Latios can potentially clean up. Other ones I drafted later can potentially clean up. You know, I can even bring a Dragon Dance Tyranitar and sweep someone after I've weakened their team a bit with Ember. So I don't need this thing to hang around for a whole game. What I need this thing to do is just do massive damage to everything it can, and it does that so well. And it does have a good base HP stat, so if I decide to run max HP, for example, the recoil won't be doing as much to me, because obviously you don't offer raw HP numbers, not percentages. And it's got respectable bulk, like base 65 defenses out in there, but base 110 HP kind of makes up for it. Means it can take hits from things if I need it to, like I can use a physically defensive Ember to take on Weavile if I really felt like it, because, you know, it's not like my team already deals really well with Weavile. But anyway, that's basically it for Ember. The next one I had, so I think I've got 3 picks left to talk about. The next one was due to Slowking getting sniped. I needed a different bulky water. I really, really wanted that regenerated core, and what I ended up getting was Slyroh. So Slyroh is obviously Slowking with 1 stat swapped, defense and special defense, which doesn't fit my team as well, which is unfortunate, because I really wanted that base 110 special defense just to help nudge things a little bit. That works a lot better with Tangrowth, who already has really, really good natural physical defense. But the typing is still there, it still fits my core super duper well, it's still a painful regenerated core to try and break through. And it still gets all the moves that Slowking gets, so all the coverage moves and Fire Blast and Thunderbolt and Ice Beam and Energy Ball and all that shit. And it still gets Calm Mind, it still gets Trick Room, so I can still completely sweep people with this thing if I really want to. The main issue is it's actually 1 point more expensive than Slowking, which I don't understand why, but the people who did the pricings did the pricings. They spent a lot of time on it, and I am so thankful for them to organising everything. So I'm not going to complain, but it was just annoying having to spend 1 more to get Slyroh, which is partly my fault for not taking Slowking earlier, which is my fault for not taking Slowking earlier, but then I would have got other things, etc, etc, I've noted this. That 1 point meant that I couldn't get a mon which I really, really wanted to get, which was Kecleon. Then I had to, because that was 6 mil, and after everything I drafted, I couldn't fit in Kecleon with something else which I picked up later. So that's unfortunate, but you do what you can. Basically, it's my Slowking replacement. Still really bulky. I can still run like especially defensive Assault Vest Slyroh if I want with coverage moves, and it can still do a similar job to what Slowking does. It gets good coverage moves, stuffy setup. I can run especially offensive with a Life Orb. Lots of options for Slyroh, which I don't think a lot of people think about. A lot of people go, oh, it's just going to be a physically defensive wall, because that's what it's most likely used for in OU. But really, it's just as versatile as Slowking. The only difference is the fact that it's not especially defensive, which would have fit my team a little bit better, but it's still good. it still fits really, really nicely. And I now have a regenerator core from hell. If you count Ordino before it Mega Evolves, which even though you have to Mega Evolve on the first turn, if I double that, I can still abuse Regenerator. So I could basically bring a Regenerator core of Tangrowth, Ordino, and Slyroh until I Mega Evolve Ordino, which means I can still use Wish. Like, once I Mega Evolve, I can Wish up and keep that healthy as well. I also then have a fucking Tyranitar, which is like one of the bulkiest mons in existence because of sand and stuff. It's just the typing lets it down. But with Slowbro and Tangrowth to complement it, there are a lot of its weaknesses I have covered there. Really, I really like the bulk that I have on this team. Slowbro also gave me T-Wave, which I didn't have before this, I don't think. Maybe Ordino gets it. I had Will-O-Wisp on Emboar, Sleep Powder and stuff on Tangrowth, but I don't think I had T-Wave so far. But that also changed by one of the picks that I made last. So these things were already on my plan when I picked this mon. I was tossing up between, do I get this, the next thing, which, okay, I'm going to spoil it now, is Thundurus. Do I get Thundurus and Slowbro and then get, a lower tier mon, or do I get a cheaper electric type like Heliolisk and then grab Slowbro and then something else, or do I grab Raikou and then, Cloyster and Greninja and things like that I was considering. End up going Slowbro for the Generator Core and end up going Thundurus because it's just so good. Basically, I was looking at a lot of other electric types, but they all got sniped from me. So Zapdos originally, like I mentioned in the first couple of rounds, I was like, I'm going to get Zapdos, and then it got sniped. I was like, okay, I'll get something else instead. Then I was looking at Thundurus T, and Schady took it, which was well before I got my pick back, so I had time to think about something else, and it came back to me and I was like, Thundurus Incarnate's still around. I think I was talking to Kelly about how our draft was going at this point, and he said, you know what's still around? Raikou. And I was like, you know what's still around? Fucking Thundurus. And I prefer this thing to Raikou. It's a little bit slower, but it gets Prankster, which kind of compensates for that most of the time, not all the time, but it does help. It's got better special attack, better attack, it's just not as bulky. But my team doesn't need bulk at this point. My team needs power, my team needs a setup threat. Thundurus gives me both of those. My team also has no Volt Switch or U-turn at this point, and Thundurus is the only one I end up picking up, which, while less than ideal, I can manage with. I found I don't use Volt Turn a lot in my team, but in my team building process anyway. And Thundurus isn't exactly frail. Base 79 HP, 70 defense, and 80 SPDF is not great, but it's not horrible bulk. And it's just so freaking powerful on both sides with really, really good coverage moves, knockoff, superpower, focus blast, thunderbolt, obviously, sludge wave, psychic, acrobatics, hidden powers. It's just really, really useful. And I think I was talking to Shroom, and he basically reckoned that this is the best electric type in draft format and top 5 of all mons in the format, and I kind of agree. I think I had it about 8th on my list or something like that, and it was still around when it got to me, and I was like, I'm just gonna fucking take it. Because if I didn't take it that round, I'm sure someone else would have gotten it, because it's just so good. It doesn't give me damaging priority, which is kind of annoying, but I do now have Prankster T-Wave, which can stop me from getting swept, or Prankster Taunt, which I can use to stop someone setting up on me. I can sub up and scout really easily. It's just a really, really solidly good mon, and it's one of those things which I didn't plan on getting, and now that I have it and I've just been running calcs with it and looking at its matchup against teams, I'm like, I am so glad I have this thing. It's just gonna tear through people, and it's great. And if I want, I can run Defiant. If someone only has a Defogger, I can bring a physical Thundurus with Defiant, or even just bring Defiant just to make them think I'm physical Thundurus and then kill something with a T-Bolt. Like, it's just fantastic. Anyway, enough of me falling in love with Thundurus. Next mon, and the last one I drafted was Qwilfish. And this was basically, I had 5 mil left after all of those picks. So Thundurus was 17, Slowbro was 13, I think I went through everything else's prices. And so I got my 8 really, really solid mons in the order that I showed you that I decided, not the order I drafted, but whatever. And basically was like, what do I want? I would like to get Hazard Stack as an option. I'd like to get Toxic Spikes and or Spikes depending on what's available. I'd like to get some priority, which would be good, because I didn't have much at this point. And the 2 ones I ended up considering were Frogadier and Qwilfish. And the main thing that made me get Qwilfish in the end was the fact that it can actually take a couple of hits. So with Intimidate, it's not the bulkiest of mons, 65, 75, 55 is kind of shitty, but it's got a good defensive typing that fit my team quite nicely. It gives me another Fairy Resist, which I was kind of lacking. My only one so far was Excadrill, which is less than ideal because it can't really switch into like a Gardevoir, like a Mega Gardevoir or a Sylveon. Whereas Qwilfish gives me another Fairy type resist, which is nice. It gives me stab poison coverage. It gives me a grounded poison type, which just dissuades people from bringing toxic spikes at all, even though both of my forms of hazard removal can ignore them. But, you know, you never know. It also gives me Hazard Sack myself. It gives me my third Weather Sweeper with Swift Swim. And I looked at the rest of his move pool, I was like, there are things here that I could catch someone off guard with. There won't be, that people might not expect. And I can catch something off, get a cheap kill, that kind of thing. Ended up deciding I just go with it. Monotui kind of convinced me to get it instead of Frogadier. And I'm happy I did. Frogadier doesn't get spikes, which is less than ideal. Doesn't get some of its good coverage moves that Greninja gets. You know, it's obviously really, really powerful with Protein, but Qwilfish is a very, very solid one. Even though it's my second water type, I've made a chart of like all my weaknesses and stuff, and they're all actually covered reasonably well, even with double ups on typing in Psychic and Water and things like that, because I have other things that resist those. So, anyway, I've been rambling on for a very, very long time. It's been like half an hour or so. It's been 40 minutes. Wow, this is why I made a shorter version you can go look at. So now I'm just going to finish off with overall how happy I am with this draft. Basically, I think this is probably the best draft I've made so far. It's definitely better than my Division 2 one from last season. It's debatable whether it's better than my GCL one. My GCL draft was very, very good. On that, by the way, I'm just going to chuck this in this video because why not shoot it at the start, but oh well. I have dropped out of GCL. I will probably do a proper update of that sometime. I dropped out because it was just getting too much of a hassle. I had PPL to focus on, I had graphics to make and that kind of thing. There was a lot of disorganization around it. I was supposed to battle Paul, and then his internet died, and then when I got back from being away, I asked him if he wanted to battle because like it's really any point anymore. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. RTK had already left, and we couldn't, you know, they were looking for a replacement, but I don't think anyone found anything, so I ended up dropping out. It's kind of unfortunate. I wish those guys all the best with the whole No Pause Tourneys crew. I wish them the best with getting all that back up and running. And I'm sorry I had to drop out, but basically PPL is my priority, and nothing is going to change that. This league is, like, I'm going to get a bit soppy here, but everyone in it is just so freaking amazing. Like, when I look at comments on GBA videos, even like TBU videos, there are people who just criticize everything and sound really, really angry at the coach for stuffing up whatever. The PPL fans are great. The people within the PPL themselves are just, like, we spend so much time in calls or just on Skype or Discord, even on Twitter, just talking. And there's, you know, we have healthy, in my opinion, debates about mons, so things about what's the best mon in draft format, and we talk about it, but it's not angry. It doesn't get... There are so many things I love about the PPL, and nothing will ever take priority over it from now. In terms of YouTube, my school probably will, and my job probably will. Other than that, PPL is like my next priority, which is insane. Anyway, my team. Enough of me being soppy. I'm really, really happy with my hazard removal. I have two of the best forms of hazard removal in Latios and Excadrill. I also have a couple of good hazard setters. I have 2 stealth rockers. I would rather have more, but a lot of the others didn't really fit my team. I also have spikes and toxic spikes, which is nice. The main thing I'm really, really happy with on this team is exceptional power with Excadrill, Latios, Tyranitar, Emboar, Thundurus. Like, trying to find a fucking switch into most of my team. It's so powerful. And then the bulky pivots that I have to help that. One of the things I noticed a lot about how I try and play in league format is I gain momentum by double switches, and a lot of the time have a wall that I need to take on a particular mon, and so I have to keep spamming recover, or, you know, soft boil, synthesis, whatever the move might be. So I have to try and keep those types of mons healthy. With this, I can double switch to get initiative, and keep my mon healthy. And if I want to be a real dick, I can just run Rocky Helmet on both of them and just pivot switch around. You know, something's doing 50% to both my mons. I can switch in once, take 50%, switch out into the other one, take 50%, switch in again, take it, switch in again, take it, switch in again. Like, it's just... Regenerator is such a fantastic ability for my playstyle, and I'm really, really happy I got a core of Regenerator mods. If I could have gotten more, obviously I would have loved to, but it's kind of difficult to fit any more than 2. You kind of need Reuniclus, and then you can't, it's harder to justify fitting Slowking or Slowbro. I could have gotten Almamola, but I don't really like Almamola. Kelly ended up drafting it. So I'm really, really happy with the bulk that I have and the insane wall breakers. The main issue with my team is it's not overly fast. I think I did average base stats and lowest was speed, which is about 71, which is not fantastic. But a lot of my other stats were so very high. Like my base HP stat this season is through the roof. I'm a bit weak to a really, really strong fighting type. My main answer to it at the moment is Slowbro, and if they carry knockoff, then that can be a problem. Particularly if they're powerful enough to carry Tangrowth. I could run physically defensive Tangrowth, but a lot of time I want to bring specially defensive. And the other issue with my team is it's actually quite predictable in that, I can run gimmick sets. I am relatively creative. I'm not quite on a Shroom level, but I do run some interesting things, like I ran a freaking Zen mode Power Hub Solar Beam Donphanatic, for Christ's sake. I'm not against a gimmick occasionally. But a lot of my mons, like, even though I have options to bring some really weird things, I most likely won't against a lot of teams. And it's relatively easy to predict what my switching to certain things are going to be, because I only really have one, or it's obvious to predict that Mega Ordino is probably not going to be max attack adamant, and things like that. It's just never going to have a good matchup. So there is that issue in that I basically have bulky mons and offensive mons, and even though some of them can go both ways, that's going to be a bit of an issue, but hopefully my team is just solid enough that doesn't matter. So, last couple of things to say. First match will be going up on February the 6th, which is a Saturday, I believe. They'll be going up every Saturday. I'll get my team builder up the day we battle, generally. If not, it'll probably be Friday or Thursday of each week. And unlike last season in Division 2, where the aim was to try and get top 3 and get into Division 1, in fact, like when I started the season, my aim was try and get a positive record, which I ended up doing. But about halfway through the season, I decided I want to try and get in Division 1 because I was sitting quite high on the ladder. This season, I want to fucking win. I want to show as many people in this league as I can that we are a threat, that I can play this game decently well, I can draft, I can take on the best of the best, which I believe we have some of in this league. People like ShroomRaver, Schady, Alex, Foofoo won the D-League Season 1. We have a couple of people who are untested, but Kelly is known to be really, really solid in league format. I want to get my revenge on him. I'm missing people. Jack has really, really improved and now become a threat. Slyroh is tearing it up in the TBU. He almost won last season. RTK almost won last season. There are a lot of really, really, really good battlers, and I know I've forgotten some, and I'm really, really sorry I didn't mention their names. All links to coaches will be down in the description. But basically, there isn't a bad battler in this league, and so if I can come out 6-5, 7-4, that kind of record, I'll be so happy. But basically, I want to try and win. I really think that this team is good enough that I could beat any team in the league, and if I can do that for most of them, then I can win this league. And winning PPL this season, to me, is one of the biggest possible rewards you could get, as in achievements, I guess you could get, is saying I'm better than all this stack of incredibly good battlers. I think we're either equally as competitive or better than the GBA, definitely better than UCL. It's one of the best leagues around, and I'm really, really keen to do well in it. So yeah, I'm just going to finish that there. I think I've rambled way too much. Be sure to go check out all the channels in the description, especially the PPL channel and Twitter. Hopefully this season we'll get regular power rankings and draft analyses and stuff like that up. Ethan is working on that very, very hard. So hopefully we can get all that going well. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed my 45 to 50 or whatever minutes of rambling bullshit. boiling hot. I'm probably going to get heat stroke because it is disgustingly hot right now. Fucking Australia. In any case, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next upload.